It's me again. It's Wednesday, April 22nd. Sometime in the afternoon, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I don't know. Um, I'm uploading my thoughts as they develop just for posterity in case something happens. So, as I said a few days ago, I was shot at while in the car driving on a highway. Nothing around me, no cars, no trees, absolutely nothing. Shot at into the windshield of my car from a drone by a metal piece, the size of a bullet from a BB gun. So what I wanted to comment on is that I believe I was raised like many other children in a colony of sorts. So, as I said in my previous videos, I was conceived artificially, whereby my mother was put under the influence of either sleeping substances or general anesthesia, one way or another, and she was impregnated in vitro. I believe she is my biological mother, but again, once it goes out of the natural cycle, you don't know what other manipulations are done to the egg and the sperm and how else this combination is influenced, impacted. But she conceived in this way because given her record of abuses and everything she's gone through in her life, her state of health, her state of emotional and mental well being, I, as a woman, do not believe she was able to conceive herself. She did not conceive my older brother herself, and she did not conceive herself uh, in 1984. So both of her children in a quote unquote legal marriage to Alexander Filinov were conceived artificially by someone or a group of people facilitating her effective it's impregnation. It's you put a vulnerable female that you know was abused in the past and that you know are not able to conceive herself, you put her under and you impregnate her with her spouse's sperm in vitro, so artificially, and then you make her deliver those two babies um, in Tashkent City State Hospital. So Uzbekistan was just another colony, like India was in the British rule, like Africa was to the Dutch, the French. Uzbekistan is just another colony. Obviously, the legal structures, the presidents, and all of this bullshit is just bullshit. It's the same thing as Barack Obama was the president of United States. The same thing was Islam Karimov was president of Uzbekistan. Whatever. The country was used to experiment, among other things, of course, among other things. The country was used as a experimentation ground for kids like myself who were artificially conceived. Some were probably potentially genetically modified. I truly believe that science was already in practice in the colonies in the 70s and the 80s. And so, yeah, my mother unknowingly fell victim to the environment where she was snatched as a for lack of a better word, dumb duck, put under, impregnated twice, and here you go. It was a mockery. It was a mockery. It was a insult. It was a mockery of life. Like, here you go. We're gonna return your love for us. And obviously, it was all orchestrated in collusion between the Russian presence, the Russian forces in the post-Soviet republic, pre-Soviet, post-Soviet republic. Anyway, Uzbekistan was part of that territory. The colony, one of the colonies, ultimately the more sinister sciences that were tested and experimented were conducted by, I believe, American scientists or investors, so to speak, to create and nurture the future generation of state property, the future generation of kids, orphans, slaughter meat, for lack of a better word, biomasses. I cannot even call myself a human. Kids like me, we are not human. We are denied our humanity from the get-go, from the time of conception. We are inhuman. And so orphans, kids from artificial families were set up like that, experimented on for genetic research, biological research, behavioral research, social research, you name it, you name it. We were just slaughter meat for so many purposes. And then some of us deemed state property, effectively state property, went on to be sent under the context of immigration, false immigration, sent to Australia, sent to whatever, Russian Federation, Europe, North America, you name it, whatever country we were sent to, we were effectively slaughter meat. I will speak for myself, but legally I am no country citizen. I will never be a citizen of any country. I will not belong to my legal mother or legal father. I was forced into this colony, which was Uzbekistan. My ethnicity was botched. I don't know if my gender was manipulated. I think at that time it was far too far-fetched, and why would someone struggle over it for my mother? I think she was just impregnated because she couldn't conceive herself. And so I was thrust into a predominantly Muslim environment, so a country overrun by the darkest, so to speak, Muslims, Uzbeks, Asians, Mongols, Tatars, Persians, etc., etc. And I am a female. I am a female kept effective hostage. I was a de facto hostage. And this was facilitated not only by my mother and Michael, her legal, quote unquote, legal spouse. This was facilitated by so many other parties who felt themselves belonging to that ethnos, that nation, that group, social group of people, that I was made a target for mockery, experimentation, attacks, molestation, just whatever goes, goes, right? I am a white female in a predominantly Muslim, Arab, Persian, Asian, you name it, whatever, Tatar country. And so I was made a target for not only experiments of interested parties, and that being American investors in collusion with the Russian forces, I was also thrown under the bus for the benefit of the dominant social groups in Uzbekistan, which were all these whatever Asian Tatars, Muslim Persians, um, uh, dominating groups. And not only that, I feel like it was a complete subterfuge and hijacking of the idea, the concept of my life, and just making a joke out of it. It's like telling my mother, here, we are going to help you. We are going to help you conceive. We are going to help you. We're going to be so helping. So helping. Look, you're white. You're right. You're white. You're a Russian. Here, we're going to shove the two embryos up your vagina into your uterus, and you're going to be carrying white babies, Russian children for the Russian guy. You're going to be so Russian. We're even going to set up a Russian company for you. You're going to be working with the Russian. It was all a joke, mockery of her state and her upbringing, her roots, and where she was coming from. Again, I said she was raped 5 times in her lifetime that I know of. 5 times, including my conception and my birth. Um, and there's no way, just no way she conceived me naturally, just no way on earth. And not only that, after 5 acts of rape, she was still held in this delusion that yes, she is so Russian, she is smart, and she was dragged through this whole delusion of we're gonna employ you into in the 90s. Okay, that was the collapse of everything. Of state property, private property, institutions, legal structures, educational environment, everything was sort of clustered and disintegrated. And she was held in this delusion of, yeah, I'm going to beat myself in the chest that I am smart, that I'm going to be employed by a Russian company, I'm going to be working according to my professional education and degrees. Everything was fake. Everything was fake. All this education, jobs, husbands, marriages, institutes, university, everything was fake for the purposes of social research, behavioral research, creating the future generation of orphans and peoples who are men of no land, just mercenaries of the world, orphans, slaughter meat, who were sent out to all four corners of the world to be employed into policing, not even employed legally, but employed into third party organizations, organized as but really de facto operating as B. So you might be employed by a police, but really not be a police. You're just slaughter meat for fake investigations, eventually to be killed off in a hospital somewhere, uh, held in an institution somewhere. So what can transpire from here onwards is that the fact is that my mother was raped 5 times. Another fact is that I am the consequence of one of these rapes. I was conceived via artificial impregnation in vitro, um, which means she was put under, a few people colluded to put her under, to impregnate, and I don't know how many times it was done. The fact is that our apartment was trespassed routinely. From inside, someone had a spare key and we were trespassed. The fact is that all of our properties in my maternal line, my great grandmother's, my grandmother, our property in Tashkent, my property here, my mother's rental apartment here, everything was destroyed. Everything, repeatedly, consistently, everything was destroyed. We are a generation, 5 generations of women who were put under and artificially impregnated to whitewash or to produce white or whiter babies for either future whitewashing if we are females, or as slaughter meat if we are males, or for reproductive purposes as well. Males, you can use both ways. Um, the fact is that we were brought here under false pretenses, and my suspicions and my fears is that um, my mother and Michael can end up in Russian Federation in some psychiatric hospital where they will be claiming until they are dead that they lived for 20 years in Canada. No one will believe them, of course, because obviously they are not nearly as competitive. There is no such thing as what they are doing. I don't believe um, their jobs were really real, like legitimate in the open market. So they can easily be shipped off, put under, shipped off to Russian Federation and or Israel and or some other country, put into a psychiatric hospital, long-term, whatever, palliative care. And then they will be claiming they lived in Canada for 20 years, which they were right, but de facto they didn't. De facto, I didn't live in Canada either. I lived in some displacement camp where I was denied employment opportunity, where I was trespassed on, where I myself was poisoned on multiple occasions, where I myself was molested, I was assaulted, I was robbed, I was vandalized. So the same thing can be done with me. The Theophylactides couple can easily be shipped back to United States, and the same thing can be claimed to me that, yeah, she is requiring institutionalization. She didn't live in Canada. There are no such people, no such properties, and off you go, live in some other country with your entire life wasted, just a blank slate. And that very well can transpire. Very well can transpire. So what was done to me in York region over the past 5 years is another channel for experimentation where you set up social structures in a way that you have majority social groups, which in York region are Asians. Okay, you set up policing, courts, educational systems, institutions, colleges, hospitals, clinics, predominantly employing those social groups, and you have a sort of sub-government within Canada, within legal physical territory of Canada. You have a sub organization of China, or a sub-organization of the Middle East, or a sub-organization of Africa. You name it. You name it. You can recreate and reform as many and reorganize as many countries within the territory of Canada, and that's it. And if you do not belong, you get assaulted in that same way you were assaulted in your home country where you were artificially born. And the same thing is redone to you on the territory of Canada. So, my first 20 years, I was subjected to whatever I just mentioned above. on the legal territory of Uzbekistan, which was in effect just a colony of Russia, which was just a colony of the North American investment interests. And then I was shipped with my mother to Canada under false pretenses of her employment in A, B, and C. And the same thing was replayed with my life here on Canadian ground under the same scenario, the same script, where certain people are feeling themselves dominant and supported enough and in majority enough that they can do anything and everything to white people in Canada, because it really doesn't matter, because if you are in majority within a specific geographical region and you have husbands in police, sisters in the hospital, etc., you have a sub-organization, a sort of sub-autonomous or fully autonomous region of Tataria or Manchuria or Siam within the borders of Ontario, Canada. And that's it. And that's how I am being re-victimized for 41 years now.